What's up, everyone? This is Reckless Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy Nando, and I'm here with FrankieC. And this is the post reaction to the Royal Rumble. If you are living under a rock right now, you should know by now that Cody Rhodes has won the Royal Rumble, the first man in 26 years that's won back-to-back Royal Rumbles. Frank, was this the right decision? Was you happy with this?
I mean, listen, bro, that was my prediction, right? Even though we both thought that Punk was going to do it, and I was just picking Cody as a contrarian to be a contrarian. But you know what, bro? You know what? I ended up being right, so I'll take it. I'll take the win. It was the right decision. You know, could they have gone with Punk and add to the adversity for Cody Rhodes? Definitely. But I like that there hasn't been a back-to-back winner in 26 years and Cody does it. If not him, who else?
Yeah, of course. I totally agree. I think the whole world thought CM Punk was going to win it, but I think it was the right decision. He has to go finish the story, right? So they can't just let him win back-to-back Royal Rumbles and have back-to-back WrestleMania losses, right?
Agreed, man. And it's funny because this week, I mean, exhausting amount of news. But some of that news was, Sports Illustrated leaking Cody's not going to finish the story. Gunther's going to actually win the Rumble, and and it goes back to what I said. And if you've seen our Instagram stories, I'm like, is this another example of Triple H working the dirt sheets? It could have been plans kind of shifting, but I think that they're always looking at the what ifs. What if we do this? What if we do that? But I'm mostly thinking that they're working the dirt sheets, which is very smart. I love that. I think that it's better to make you really second guess, especially this week. I mean, like I said, I was 50% Punk, 50% Cody. And then I was like, oh man, I'm 50% Punk, 25% Cody, 25% Gunther. Because you're hearing these rumors and you're hearing, oh, Cody's not going to finish the story. Maybe it's Cody that's going to be facing Seth at Mania, which, I mean, I feel like they closed their chapter having, 3 matches and Cody winning all 3 of them, so there's no need for it. And if Cody did face Rollins at Mania for the world title, I feel like it would have been, Rollins is going to lose again to him. It wouldn't be, I'm not saying, it wouldn't be fair, but it also, besides Rollins having to take another loss, that's not the title that Cody is meant to, finish the story with.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree because if you're going to build up this whole Roman Reigns thing, it just wouldn't make sense that he loses 1 year to Roman Reigns, and then it would look like they're taking the easiest way out by being Seth Rollins. Whereas, if you're going to finish the story, you beat the tribal chief, you beat the guy that's been champion for over 3 years. So now it's
3.5 years.
Yeah. So it does make sense. I feel bad for Punk, but it's good that he put Cody over because, if this was the old Punk, would he have accepted that he was going to lose the Royal Rumble? I don't think so. So I think it shows the maturity there and how much he cares about the business now. And before the Royal Rumble, there was a promo video between Punk and Cody Rhodes. What did you think of that?
I thought it was a great promo. I think that it was something to really drive home the Rumble, where it's anyone can win kind of thing. And it really made it feel more personal and kind of a little predictable that they were going to be the final 2 in the Rumble. But it's a good predictable. Sometimes predictable is good. In this scenario, it was a great thing because it really drove home the point of how personal these 2 guys are connected, how personally they're connected on a level where Dusty Rhodes, father of Cody Rhodes, he told Punk look out for my kid.
Yeah.
And I think that, right before the elimination, right before the final elimination of Cody eliminating Punk, he had him up for the GTS, and he said out loud, he goes, "You think I waited 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid?"
Yeah.
Which normally I would hate, because I don't like when someone like Cody, for example, is living in the shadow of their legendary father. But in this scenario, it works because, Punk did train with Dusty. Punk uh, had a relationship with Dusty. This was a great way to once again blur fiction and reality.
Yeah.
And some people say, "Oh, as soon as he said what he said, I didn't wait 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid." Some people said, "Well, that was a dead giveaway," but it was a minute or two before the elimination. It didn't bother me at all. I thought it added to the drama and the story there. So I think that it was that promo really helped drive home the entire Rumble scenario that we got yesterday, last night, for the final two. It was great booking, but not everything was 100% in this Rumble.
Well, I was going to ask you this. So I was going to ask you, what was the pros and cons of the men's Royal Rumble? So let's go with first of all, the cons. So the one of the ones is the one we agreed with was what's his name? Paddy.
Oh, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, like that was the worst thing since when they let Michael Cole be in the Royal Rumble. Like that was such a waste where they could have got somebody, I don't know, they could have got another person from TNA to come in. They could have got someone from another person from NXT. Hell, you could have got a legend to come in. You could have got RVD. You could have got someone to come and take that place and, do something with it. But for him to do that and then just eliminate himself is an absolute waste. And no one laughed. It wasn't like the crowd cheered for it. No one gave two shits about that.
Yeah, they were booing.
Yeah.
Actually, no one liked it. It was a waste, and it's a good thing that we're talking about the cons first, because I feel that there was a lot more positive than there was negative. So it is a shorter list of cons
Yeah.
than pros. So I will say this about Pat McAfee. Could it be possibly that because of all the news, and we're not going to get into the whole Vince thing,
Yeah.
on this episode, but I'm thinking that it could be because of short notice of pulling Brock out, that's what kind of
Could be.
they had to basically replan the entire thing within what, 2 days of this news coming out, and Brock being, his return being halted at the moment. Possibly, we don't know if he's even going to come back, depending on how these allegations and what comes out about it and all this. But I think that maybe that could have been a scenario where Triple H said, "Okay, Pat McAfee, he has a name, he has respect from the audience." But maybe Pat was like, "Listen, I'm not in shape. I haven't taken a bump. And maybe he's just doing them a favor by coming in and doing this really quickly." Was it the right choice? I think that they could have thought of something better. You know, it didn't have to even be a legend, like you said. It could have been someone from NXT, um, or even somebody from the WWE Championship match. Because I thought that somebody from the
Yeah,
WWE Championship match would come in. Because why would you have him go on second?
I agree.
But there were definitely other
Oh,
cons.
I think I figured out why. It's to get Roman Reigns showered and ready to be at the top, to be watching that match. That's why.
That's definitely a possibility, and that was a great touch. We'll talk about on the pro side. Sticking to cons, one thing I didn't like, Nando, was you had Jimmy and Jay enter at number one and number two. That was
Yeah,
amazing. The con about it is you had Braun Breaker eliminate Jimmy Uso while
yeah.
Jay is still in the match. Why didn't they have Jay, eliminate Jimmy because he's the good guy, and obviously Jimmy's the bad guy. And then you have Jimmy come in and he's jealous of his brother and he throws him over the top rope and eliminates him. And
Yeah, I
now
agree.
you build their story heading into Mania, brother versus brother in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia at WrestleMania. That would have been a lot more productive as far as their storyline is concerned. But it made Braun look great, but at the same time, it's like he could have just easily eliminated somebody else. What did you think about how they started the Rumble and then they just kind of threw away something that could have been a little bit, made it a little bit more personal and deeper than it already is between the Usos?
No, I agree. I think they could have done that, but they could do that at the Elimination Chamber. That you never know that both brothers might be in the Elimination Chamber and one pins the other, and it builds that feud there. Because if the Royal Rumble went straight from the Rumble to WrestleMania, I could understand it, but you still got a month to build this feud where they're both from different shows. The other thing that I found interesting was so Bron Breakker eliminated Jimmy, right? There's rumors that after the whole Roman Reigns thing comes to an end, that Bron Breakker would be the next Paul Heyman guy. So could it be that he eliminated him, and this may cause a feud with the bloodline for Bron Breakker, and it could happen after WrestleMania? It could happen a feud like Bron Breakker versus Solo. Who knows? But this could lead up to that.
That's a really good point, honestly. Um, I really can't argue there. I'm going to just go back to really quickly because I just thought of something with the Pat McAfee thing. The only positive that came out of that, if you think about it, is it just because you haven't seen Omos in so long, Pat McAfee being so scared of him to even get in the ring and backing out kind of makes Omos seem even more intimidating, or at least that was the goal. For us, we looked at it and that was just not the way to go. But that's neither here nor there. Back
Yeah,
to
but for me, Omos even coming back and being in the Rumble was already a con.
you know what? I did say the same thing when I initially seen him coming out, but then I said out loud, you know what? You need one of these big 7-footers that we're gonna act like no one can eliminate, but eventually everyone eliminates them. Whether it's
I
all of
I
them
think
ganging up
Omos
on
was
him,
there for Lesnar, in my opinion.
it could be. Omos seemed more calculated in that Rumble match. Pat McAfee seemed like a fumble of a like what do we do? How do we fill the spot? And it could be either one. I mean, some people say that Braun Breaker was the replacement for Brock Lesnar,
Yeah,
which
but it just makes me. The thing is, we will talk about the women's, and we all know who was the surprise entrant in the women's one. So it makes you think, like, why couldn't they get someone else from TNA? You could have got a legend, like for example, a Tommy Dreamer, Rhino. You could have got the actual heavyweight champion Moose. You could have got a Bully Ray. You could have got somebody to fill that spot. I'm sure somebody last minute would have flew in, took a bump, and left. Like, to just waste that spot on him, I think that was terrible, terrible, terrible.
well, I'll be honest with you, that to me, and I can't really think of any other cons. Are those the only cons from the show, from
From
the
that
men's
match.
Rumble? I
Yeah,
think so. Really, you look at everything else was pretty solid. Unless we
yeah,
think of anything else that I really can't think of anything because I'm looking at this the Rumble sheet of eliminations and what number of people entered and all this. I don't remember any other of these other names being an issue for me personally.
yeah, I agree. So
So I guess we
if you
can
do
move on
think
to
of
the
anything
pros.
left, so
What's
we
that?
can move on to the women's.
Well, I mean, you let's still talk about the men's Rumble of the pros, no?
Oh, the pros? Yeah, the
Yeah,
pros for me was well, the pros was how it ended. The comment that you mentioned regarding what Punk said to Cody. I think putting Bron Breakker in the Rumble. Um, I think that's it. I can't think of any other pros really. Everything seemed smooth, I guess. I think there could have been better entrants, but I liked it. It wasn't the worst Rumble. It wasn't the best Rumble, but I think it was a good Rumble.
yeah, it definitely. I mean, we could put this in the con section. It kind of felt slow at the start, but
Yeah.
looking at the bright side, we did get Andrade returning, which
Yep.
was it was great to see him back. He looked in tremendous shape. He got a great reaction from the crowd. No one forgot who he was. It flowed so
Yeah.
smoothly with him. The commentators obviously aren't going to say like, "Oh, this guy has no ring rust." They don't want to even allude to the fact that this guy has, even though he's been gone for 3 years, 3.5 years, that they're not trying to insult our intelligence either, like they used to. But
Yeah.
uh, really didn't get any other big surprise entrants. So I guess the only two surprise entrants were Andrade and Pat McAfee, which I think that it goes back to what you said, and you were right. It's such a stacked roster that you really don't even have any room for these legends to come in. You don't have any room for,
Yeah.
you know, you know what I'm trying to say.
It should
It,
be a 50-man Royal Rumble, and for me, it should be a 50-man Royal Rumble. Simple as that.
oh, that would be way too long, though. We had 4 matches on the card, and it was still a 4-hour show. It's an average
Well,
of one
cut down
hour
on
per
the
match.
cut down on the matches. You don't have to defend the WWE title at Royal Rumble because why? The people who's going to fight you for the title has the chance to go win the Rumble and go to WrestleMania. I think you should just do a straight 50 woman. Well, actually, the women's can stay at 30. The men's can be 50. You can have one match. You can either defend the WWE title, or you can have a match like for the IC or the US title or the tag team. In my opinion, but if you do
Yeah,
a
and
50,
maybe
yeah,
also maybe just instead of every minute and a half, have them come out every minute, just like the '95 Rumble. That thing ran so smoothly. I watched the
yeah,
'95 Rumble the other day for the first time, and because I said, well, which one of these are the shortest? The shortest time Rumble, and the '95 is at 38 minutes. It made it. It went by so quickly. It was a great flow. I'm surprised that they didn't stick to that formula, but maybe they, had the need to fill more time on other rumbles. But to me, it makes it more interesting when there's every minute somebody comes out. So if you think about it, if it was every minute an entrant enters, you'd have within 50 minutes you'd have everybody in the rumble. So it would still be an hour and 10 minutes per rumble if there were 50 participants in the match. But I want to also talk about uh, McIntyre, the final four. It was a great choice. McIntyre, Gunther, Punk, and Cody was a great final four because those were
I
the
agree.
four that we were really thinking which one of these guys are gonna less Drew, but it still kept you thinking.
Yeah, it was more the other three, but yeah, Drew being there could have maybe when it was Drew, it made me think would it be Drew and Cody at the end because of that.
Yeah.
But listen, I thought it was a great choice.
Yeah, and also let's talk about back to the predictions. So I get bragging rights, obviously, because Cody won, but as far as bragging rights for most eliminations, we were both wrong, and I can't believe it, but Cody Rhodes, I think, has gotten the most elimination. He had the most eliminations in the Royal Rumble this year. So not only has he had the most eliminations for the year, but he also won the thing. So that was pretty impressive to me.
That was incredible. You wouldn't have thought it.
Yeah, and it looks like Jey Uso, surprisingly, he was the Iron Man this time around at 50 minutes, 55 seconds.
Yeah, which makes you think maybe in the near future would he win the Rumble? You never know.
I mean, they are pushing this guy, and
Yeah,
I'm personally not the biggest Jey Uso fan. I get why people like him. You know, my nephew was going all crazy for him. He has the whole yeet thing, and you know, he gets the crowd into it, and it's all good. So
yeah,
this is definitely a sign that they could be pushing him in the near future, or at least that they think of him. They want to keep because main event Jay is his nickname. To me, he still hasn't proved himself being a main event player, and
I agree.
you know what I mean. It just he doesn't feel like main event. He just is named main event. This definitely helps him though. You have him be the Iron Man of the men's rumble. It does make him feel a little bit more important. So that was a good call. That was another pro.
Yeah.
But
Before we move on to the women's, there's one more con I want to ask. I want to add because I did tell you this last night while we were texting each other during the Rumble. Is that I believe if you win Money in the Bank, you should not be in the Royal Rumble. And the fact they put Damian Priest in there, I just thought was absolutely stupid. It just makes no choice. Why? No sense why they did that. If you win the Rumble, what's going to happen? Once if Roman Reigns pins you, you can cash in straight away, and it will be a rematch right there and then. It just
you know
makes no
something?
sense.
You know something? That's such a heel thing though. It would be a great heel thing, but not to happen at WrestleMania. You know, Money in the Bank winner having a title match, earning a title match, getting beaten, and then maybe have the stable beat down the champion, and then you cash in and you get the win. It's such a great heel move. It's not going to
Yeah,
happen at WrestleMania though, and it shouldn't happen at WrestleMania. And as far as Damian Priest going into that match, automatically just walking in and just throwing Truth over the top rope was such a mistake. Why didn't they have? Because in recent weeks, you've had Damian Priest basically say, "Oh, you know what? Kind of taking a liking to our Truth," and this just didn't. It just made everything kind of fall flat. Why
yeah,
didn't he play along with Truth for a little bit? Maybe use him, you know, be a real heel and use this guy that's loved by everybody. Use him. Hey, let's eliminate some people together, and then you turn your back on him. It makes it so much mean so much more instead of you just coming in and throwing him out right away. But it could be argued the other way as well. Like, look, he just never gave a
yeah.
crap about him, and he just threw him out. I just thought that I would have maybe done it a little bit differently, but that's just me.
Cool.
But I was
Let's
happy with
move
Cody
on.
Rhodes. Yeah, I was happy with Cody Rhodes and what he was able. I mean, he had some big eliminations though. If you look at it, he eliminated Austin Theory, which used to be a big deal, not as much anymore. But Nakamura, who's been feuding with, he eliminated Gunther and he eliminated Punk. So Cody Rhodes, he came out looking really good after this Rumble. But yeah, we'll move on to the women's Rumble.
So finally, my time to brag. My choice. You won. Was it a good choice? Can you really see her going to Mania and actually beating Rhea Ripley? Maybe, but the thing is, she's a crowd favorite. The crowd love her. She has a huge fan base, and it just made sense, I guess. But obviously, the you would have thought Jade Cargill when she came in, she was going to win it and maybe feud with Rhea because that's a huge match. That's a big match right there in the women's division. But you never know. She might got it might still happen because what you explained before, it doesn't necessarily mean Bailey's going to go after Rhea. So it might mean that maybe Jade Cargill or Naomi might go after Rhea Ripley. Who knows? Liv Morgan can still go after Rhea Ripley. We don't know. But it was I kind of like the women's one. Can I say any cons? I can't think of it. I'll be honest with you, I can't.
Well, firstly, I will give you your bragging rights. You were right. 100% Bailey did it. It was the right choice. Even watching it, Becky did not feel like she should have won. I didn't have as strong as a feeling as I'm watching it because I did pick Becky to win and for her to go on and face Rhea. I think she may still take Rhea on for the World Women's Championship over on Raw for WrestleMania, maybe by winning the Elimination Chamber. But I feel that it was definitely the right choice. Bailey, I don't think is going to challenge Rhea. It's like I said last time. I think that because there's so much conflict, and also the commentators did point out, as Damage Control members are coming out, and they said, "Oh, Bailey's the only one not holding gold." I think that's why they took the titles and put them on the Kabuki Warriors, who are part of Damage Control. They did that on Friday, so the day before. Even though I'm not a fan of how they're handling those women tag titles since they first came back, it's like they did that for a reason. They did it for a good reason. It really is going to play into the story now with Bailey going into WrestleMania and making her decision. Maybe they even turn their backs on her. Who knows how that's going to work? But uh, I think it was the right choice, and you were right, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. And interestingly enough, like I said about Cody before, that he won and he had the most eliminations. Same rings true for Bailey. She, I believe she had the most eliminations.
She did?
Yeah, she did.
Who,
Nia
Bailey?
Jax had Nia Jax had 7 eliminations. Bailey had 8 eliminations, and she won
That's
the
my
thing.
girl.
Yeah, you called it. We were both wrong on Nia having the most eliminations. It almost was tied with that.
But we were close. We were close with Nia Jax.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as far as the who lasted the longest in the Rumble, it was Bailey as well. So Bailey, this is probably the first time in Rumble history that the Iron Woman or Iron Man had the person that won the Rumble had all 3 accolades that you could possibly have in the Rumble: most eliminations, longest time in the Rumble, and being the winner. That's impressive, and I think that she kind of earned this push. And it was I had no argument about it. They did a lot of great stuff in this Rumble, by the way, for the women.
Well, I would like to know because I honestly can't think of any. You tell me a con because I can't think of any. The only thing I would have said maybe is at least one legend to come back. I would have said at least one legend to come back. But that doesn't bother me. It's fine because I think all the women did well. I think there was a few funny moments and we needed that. The fact that you had Jordan Grace come in, that was just crazy. Like I said, with the men's Royal Rumble, I wish they got someone, a male TNA guy to come through. But listen, that was great. And I can't give a single con for this. I honestly can't.
Yeah, me neither. I'll be honest. And I thought that I would enjoy, and it's not that I didn't enjoy the men's Rumble, but I enjoyed the women's Rumble a lot more than I thought that I was gonna.
Yeah, same. Same.
You know, they had a lot of great spots. I mean, you had, like you said, Jordan Grace coming in, her and Ivy Nile, who I really don't know much about Ivy Nile. I see that she's, one of these little, like little pit bull kind of wrestlers, and it was great. They both had 2 other participants. I forgot who they had, but they had them installing suplexes, power display. That was a great spot because it's kind of they were very good at clashing those in the match that had a lot of similarities. So you had Jordan Grace and Ivy Nile. You also had I believe it was Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill coming face to face, and that was phenomenal because it's like, man, these two are very similar in a lot of ways. They're different in a lot of ways, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. And to me, that's going to be a future WrestleMania match between those two for a championship.
100%.
You know, you also had Piper Niven in there, Nia Jax. They came face to face. That was great. But I think that the greatest part of the Rumble, and I'm not taking away from the women, but I think that you're going to agree, and I think you know where I'm going. The greatest part of the Women's Rumble, number 24, and out comes Valhalla, and all of a sudden, R-Truth music hits, and he comes down, and he's so confused looking at Valhalla on his way down. And it was great. He's almost looking at her like, what are you doing here? What's going on? And he gets in there. That was amazing.
Yeah, R-Truth, listen, is a national treasure, man. He's a national treasure. Like, he honestly is one of the best things that's ever happened to wrestling, and I'm so glad that he came back. And he's just too hilarious, man. He's too funny.
He and not to put a sad note on it, but he almost had to have his leg amputated a few months ago because of the injury.
Oh, damn.
That he had. Yeah, I don't know if you knew about that.
No, I didn't.
To see him not only come back and be himself, and I really wish that they had pulled the trigger with him back in 2011 and put a world title on him. I was really like clamoring for that, and I was not too happy with John Cena at the time. I don't think anyone was, because it's like, all right, like, let's make new stars, and what are we doing? You have someone so talented like R-Truth, who is a former NWA champion. I think he was the first or second NWA TNA world champion. So, but I think that he's at a good spot right now. People love him. He's just, like you said, he's a national treasure. So, and then when he came into the Men's Rumble, he was another pro for the Men's Rumble. When he came into the Men's Rumble, he gets on the apron and he's waiting for the hot tag. He has his hand out to Dom, and Dom, I guess, you become like the people that you surround yourself with. And for some reason, Dom, who's in this, he's in a sleeper hold, and he's reaching out for the tag, and he actually goes and he tags R-Truth in. And R-Truth comes in and does his John Cena, because that's his childhood hero. And he does his John Cena comeback with the shoulder blocks and, the "you can't see me" and all that. It was so great. R-Truth, he was highlight of the night to me. Yeah. There's nobody that made you laugh or put a smile on your face the way that R-Truth did last night. And that's WWE's whole moniker. We put smiles on people's faces. Man, if you didn't smile or laugh at everything that R-Truth did, then there's something wrong with you, because that guy is gold.
Yeah, I'm so glad he managed to come and save these boys, Tom and Nick.
Yes. Hey, listen, he's awesome. Did they make a shirt of that yet, Tom and Nick?
Yeah, the three. I showed you them. The three amigos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Do you want to add anything else to this Women's Rumble?
I mean, not really. Like I said, nicely paced. It was a nice pace to the whole thing, and the right person won. I really don't want to keep sounding like I'm praising Triple H every single episode, but he really did not let us down with much at all, besides those very few little things in the Men's Rumble, which, like, I'm theorizing, had to do with things having to be switched up last minute under the circumstances of these accusations coming out this week, and Lesnar not being able to be in the Rumble. And sometimes you have so many other things going on that, is this really that important? So I thought both Rumbles overall were pretty damn good. I like them both. So nothing else to really add to those at this moment.
Brilliant. Let's move on. of course, your best friend, your idol,
Wow.
Mr. Roman Reigns, retains again. I don't really have nothing to say to this, to be fair, because there's no point of us each Roman fight talking about it. We knew what was going to happen. We knew, come on, any of that little rumor that maybe Randy would have won or someone would have won, it weren't going to happen. Look, we just have to accept that if Roman's going to lose, it's going to be at Mania to Cody, and that's it.
Well,
I thought the match was okay. I thought it was better than what I thought it was going to be, but it was still the ending. And this whole solo shit always coming in, it's just getting
exactly.
boring. It's just getting boring now.
Exactly. That's why I had my hand to my head when you even when you started talking about this. It's not, oh, I didn't want Roman to retain it, because I'll tell you the truth, as much as I want him to lose, it's not going to feel as satisfying if he doesn't lose to Cody at Mania, clean in the
Yeah,
middle, and putting Cody over and putting that championship on him. Uh, as far as the match itself, like you said, it could have been a little bit better. It had some really good spots. The solo thing just completely, you could hear, it almost took the energy out of the building. It's just like the audience let out a big, oh, like a big, again, oh my God, man. I understand why they do it. It's for obvious reasons. They want to get to WrestleMania, continuing how, pointing out that Roman had help all the way through this title reign. So it did make sense to have Solo out there. Jimmy wasn't out there, obviously, because he's going to be in the Rumble. But it really did take the wind out of the crowd. You really felt that energy. Like, no one agreed. Like, why? Why did this have to happen like this? But at the same
yeah.
time, like I said, it did have really good spots. You had Randy Orton going haywire with those RKO's. He RKO'd everybody. And just when you think that the referee is going to be counting the three, Solo pulls the referee out, which, you know, a lot of times the direction to these referees is, if someone doesn't kick out and nothing happens on time, you count the three. But
Yeah.
obviously, you're not going to do it in this scenario because it is for the WWE Championship match.
Yeah.
And if it was a regular match on Raw, then probably would have. But I'm not going to complain because, like I said, you need Roman to hold on to that championship to WrestleMania because of Cody finishing the story. It just wouldn't. Listen, could you have put it on Randy and Cody finishes the story that way and faces his former legacy tag team partner? Maybe, but it
What I
just wouldn't
said in the
feel
first
as,
episode.
yeah.
And I think that would have been good. But yeah, I'll rather Cody beat Roman. For me, I agree with you. The match was going okay. I kind of look at this analysis when, like, imagine you're on a date with a nice girl and it's going well, and you have a you know, few parts of that date that the conversation's going really well, and you're both having dinner. She's having pasta, and when Solo came in, was as if she told the waiter, "Can I have ketchup?"
Mm.
And that just ruined it. That literally just like, nope, can't do this anymore. And for me, that's my analogy of Solo coming into that match. It's like it just got ruined. It literally sucked the soul out of me and the crowd. And I didn't expect it. I just thought, I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect Solo to at least get involved in this one. Maybe I was just being naive, but it's just
Yeah,
getting
because you,
tiring now talking about Roman, to be fair, and just because you knew what was going to happen. It was just knew how it was going to end, how he was going to win. It's just getting annoying now. And I hope he doesn't fight Elimination Chamber, because what's the point?
yeah, there was a lot of moving parts in that match, so you really could have had a scenario where, let's say, Randy hits that RKO, Roman throws him out, and then just pins. You could have done something like
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
It's just a matter of them continuing this bloodline story, and that's really what it comes down to. But at least pretty much everyone got their shine. LA Knight, he had his shine. He got his stuff in and looked great doing it. You had Randy Orton getting all his stuff in and looked great doing it. AJ Styles goes without saying. Everything that guy does is phenomenal, no pun intended. The only thing I would have changed is at the end, instead of just a straight spear and pin, it kind of felt a little flat. You could have done AJ Styles going up for the phenomenal forearm. He springboards off the top, and Rowan just spears him, and then he pins him. Could have done something like that, a little bit more creative. Make a nice high spot. But it was just kind of like he spears him, he pins him. Oh, okay. But that is why I think WWE didn't have that one-on-one match that was originally rumored with Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. The whole point was they didn't want to defeat Randy Orton. They didn't want to make him look weak coming back. LA Knight, you had him who just took the pinfall in Saudi Arabia for the WWE Championship, so you don't want to pin him again. Yeah. So who is really left? I mean, it was just it was a matter of happenstance that where you had AJ Styles that had to take the pinfall in a way.
Yeah.
But the only thing that bothered me worse, I mean, in a good way, because people talking about, oh, Roman Reigns, he's going to stack all three and pin all three. And I'm like, oh, that is sickening. You're going to really. It was enough when he did that to Edge and Daniel Bryan. I don't like that. Why? What's the point of it? I guess, and I didn't even watch that WrestleMania. I had really just had enough at that point. But I like that they kind of teased that they were gonna, and they had Solo doing the stacking. You had Solo hitting that Samoan spike on all three of them and stacking them for Roman. So that was a good tease, and that would have infuriated everybody. But I'm glad that it didn't end up being the case where he pinned all three of them, stacking them up, and he just pinned AJ Styles. It was the right call. Overall, whether you like it or not, and there's a lot of people that don't like it. There were a lot of ones up at the Rumble, though, in that crowd. So it was the right choice. And it really goes to show, again, the great booking ability that Triple H has, but also the great talent that he has working under him that are going to make these kind of matches work. I would say I would give this at least 4.5 out of 5. It's just that Solo Sikoa thing that bothered me and bothered a lot of people, including yourself. But hey, we're on our way. Yeah. And what a great, let me just go back to the Rumbles. What a great, at least the men's Rumble. I didn't see it with the women's Royal Rumble. Number one, I love the time clocks in the top corner that showed you who was in for the longest time. That was a great touch. They never had that before, did they?
I agree. No.
I don't remember it being on last year's Rumble.
No, it wasn't.
So, and the second thing that I really, really loved, and it made it feel so much more prestigious, it made it feel so much bigger and better, was both champions watching from the skyboxes, and they're both they're focused on, all right, who's going to win? Because Roman knows that if Cody wins that, even though he's still over on Raw, who's to say that now that he won the Royal Rumble that he's going to say, well, we had Jey Uso come over. I'm now going to go over to Raw. He had Jey Uso go from SmackDown to Raw. Maybe now he goes from Raw over to SmackDown, or maybe he just says, well, Roman's the guy that I'm going to be challenging.
Yeah,
but
you never know.
Yeah, and because you had 2 Raw, remember, you had 4 Raw guys as the final 4. You know what I mean? That was that, because also you had all your main event stars, all your big guys that would be in the final 4 were all in that fatal 4-way for the WWE Championship match. So even though that match came on second, and we're both thinking, wow, wait, hold on a second. Maybe they were on second because they're going to give them a rest so that they can, one of them at least can enter the Rumble. But it would have been, it's like, if none of them are going to win, then don't have them there. And like I said, it was, to me, it was to prevent the movement from happening. But also, Cody is really hot right now. Punk is on fire as well. It was the right choice. But I like those champions looking over and really trying to see who's going to win. It was a great touch. It was, whoever came up with that, it was a great idea. That and the time clock.
I agree, 100%, and they need to continue that as well.
Yeah, so at least we know our main event for WrestleMania. It's pretty clear at this point. Cody's gonna go and challenge Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship, the way it should be.
For sure. No, I agree. Right. Logan Paul beats Kevin Owens by DQ. What do you think?
Dude, I'm going to tell you something. If you told me years ago, you're going to have a United States Championship match, it's one of only 4 matches, and it's going to end in a disqualification, I would have probably been upset about it and rolled my eyes at it. Like, they don't know what they're doing. This was such a great finish. Creatively, it was amazing, and it protected Kevin Owens from being pinned. It made Logan Paul look like such a piece of trash, such a heel. Got great heat. It just adds to, because Logan Paul acts like a child. Even the way that when he's doing a promo against Kevin Owens, he's like some spoiled little brat. You know what I mean? He gives that vibe off, and it's a great thing. I'm not complaining about that in the least. So I love this finish. You couldn't have, and besides them having just a great match the entire time, you would think that a DQ finish would really make it fall flat. But if you're mad at this, I kind of understand, like, if you're mad at a DQ finish, but would you rather a DQ finish, or would you rather the same old story with Logan Paul's guy coming out and interfering, and it'd be too similar to the Bloodline thing. So it also makes it feel a little bit different as well. This was a different, unique, creative finish. What did you think about it?
No, I liked it. It gave me Eddie Guerrero vibes, the way he finished, and really, really liked it. I thought the match was actually a good match, to be fair. Like I said, listen, I'm not a Logan Paul fan as a person, but in the WWE, no one gets away like the talent that he has, and he hasn't even been in WWE that long. He was never a wrestler before, and the fact that he can wrestle like that and he can do things that most people can't, I think it's absolutely incredible, and I think a lot of people need to give him more credit. He is annoying, don't get me wrong, his character is annoying, but I think it's supposed to be as well. I thought it was a great match. It's been a great feud, and never know, hopefully it'll be him and Ray at WrestleMania if Ray comes back in time.
I mean, Ray is a good choice, but I think that they're probably gonna have LA Knight, go in there and defeat him at WrestleMania for the US title, just to put a title on LA Knight. And he fell short of winning the WWE Championship 2 times. So it's like, if he's gonna go for any title, he better, other than a world championship, he better not lose it. You can't be a world title contender, go against a part-timer or a newer guy like Logan Paul, and then just lose to him.
Yeah. I think that's his level anyway. Like, I think it was too soon for LA. As much as you disagree and all this movement shit, he's not ready for the WWE title. I'm sorry, he's not. You can't just come in and not win no title and go straight to the WWE title. You're not Brock Lesnar. So I think the US title is his level at the moment. I think he should go for that, win it, and work his way up. Maybe, you know what? I'll have him win the next Money in the Bank, if anything. And hopefully in 2025, then he'll be ready for that. But I thought it was just too soon for him to win that. Plus, it just would have not made sense because of the whole Cody thing now. And yeah.
I reluctantly agree. As much as I want to see LA Knight, and as much as I think that a lot of fans want to see LA Knight on top, you're on top when you're taking on Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. You're on top when you're in a fatal four-way for the championship
Yeah,
at the Royal
exactly.
Rumble, one of the big 4 pay-per-views of the year. So he is. It does feel like he's where he is supposed to be. Did we kind of jump the gun, thinking that he should have won the championship, and kind of everything happens for a reason. At least Triple H is implementing him into the championship picture and making him feel important in a lot of ways. You can't really complain that he's being buried. It's not like he sat there, and even if he did take the pinfall tonight in the championship match, I would have. It wouldn't have made him any less of who he is, because at the end of the day, one thing that he does have, he has a great promo. He has great mic skills. He has a great character, and you can't take that away. And I think that feud with Logan Paul, going back to what I said about and what you said about his character being like a whiny kind of spoiled brat kind of thing, it's going to mesh well in promos against LA Knight, because we already seen LA Knight and Logan Paul interact on promos before Money in the Bank. So this kind of just adds to it. It kind of brings it full circle at the same time, because they already don't like each other. They already established that on TV, and now you're gonna have them come full circle and really now build to another important match at WrestleMania, because it seems that there's really with Triple H, there's very little fat um, on these pay-per-views. There's really not much to trim off. There's really none. So everything does feel important, like we talked about last time. And this will just feel like another important main event, a U.S. title match with Logan Paul and LA Knight. I mean, that's if they go that route. But everything tonight, last night at the Rumble, felt right. It felt like everything that should have happened. So
I agree.
overall, I say 5 out of 5.
I agree. 100%.
I'm not a Dave Meltzer dude that's gonna nitpick at every little thing. If you look at the overall show, he knocks it out of the park.
Perfect. Is there anything else you want to add before I ask you the next question?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So I didn't want to tell you about this question beforehand because I didn't want you to think about it. I want you to tell me the first person that comes to your head. Who's going to win the 2025 Royal Rumble in your opinion? Because I want to see 1 year's time if both of us can get it right.
If you asked me that question about a month ago or a few months ago, I would have said Gunther. But now thinking about it, with this Berlin pay-per-view coming up in August, I feel that Gunther is set to win that championship. If I am booking it, he's winning the world championship in Berlin. He's not going to win it before and go into it, because they want to sell out Berlin and all that stuff, and I completely understand that. But I think that you also sell it out if you have Gunther walking in as champion, walking in to win the championship, and what a reaction that's going to get. So I'm not going to say Gunther. Now that you stumped me, really trying to think of another guy that would win next year.
But wait, if Gunther wins it in April and he doesn't hold it until the next Royal Rumble, what stops him from winning the Royal Rumble and then winning it at Mania for the second time?
Well, no, the Berlin thing, isn't that in August?
Right. So why would he hold it until January? He might lose it in.
If he wins it this August, 2024. What, August, September, October, November, December, January, 5 months. I don't want him to drop it in 5 months. If he wins that world title, I want him to clench onto that thing like he did the Intercontinental Championship. I wouldn't have a problem with Gunther having a long title reign. Maybe even have him hold it until WrestleMania or even past WrestleMania. Depending on how it goes, depending on if it's feeling like a stale title reign or like it's not. Sometimes championship reigns just, even though when they get it, like, to me, Kofi Kingston was a good example of that. He held that title for 6 months. It didn't main event one pay-per-view. It didn't feel like so important, that WWE championship at the time, in a strange way. Even though we all like Kofi Kingston, it's just sometimes it's not the champion, it's how the champion is booked. Sometimes it's not the title reign, it's how the title reign is booked. So, but as far as Gunther, as far as even his Intercontinental Championship reign, like I said, I'm not sick of it. I could see him going on. The only reason why I want him to lose it is because I feel that he's ready for that next step, and I feel that they need to really build on creating more stars, which is why sometimes these long title reigns aren't a good idea. We'll get more into that on a different episode. But if I had to pick right now, gun to the head, I'm going to just shout out a name here. I mean, I'll give you two. I'll say either LA Knight, because he has not been in a Royal Rumble yet. He's right. Yeah, I don't remember him ever being in a Royal Rumble match.
Okay.
And if it's not him, I would say, I want to say Drew McIntyre so bad, because I do have a whole article on that I'm going to be talking about in a future episode. But maybe I don't want to say Randy either. I'm going to say LA Knight. I'm going to stick to LA Knight.
I'm going to stick with Gunther, regardless of the Berlin thing. Because it does, just because he goes to Berlin doesn't mean he's going to win. But I'm going to stick with Gunther. I think he's had 2 Royal Rumble now where he's been in the last. He was the last 2, and then he was the last 3 or 4. And he's getting that push, and I think he'll win it in 2025.
Listen, he very well could. He's proven himself over the past few years, even since NXT UK. He's proven himself to be a big deal and a main event player. So I wouldn't hate that at all. But I just see him becoming the world champion this year and not them waiting until next year. Because now you have 2 world championships. So that, I think that's the guy. I think that's the guy to win it in Berlin. If they pull another thing like they did with Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, because that was the wrong decision. As much as people want to talk about, oh, Sami Zayn should have won it at Elimination Chamber, and because it was in Montreal, and they had the whole thing going on with the Bloodline story. To me, the worst one was Drew, because he really should have won it in front of a crowd. He really should have gotten there. But unfortunately, they had other plans, and it just didn't work out that way. But as far as Gunther, I feel that he deserves it this year. They need to capitalize. And they need to capitalize on LA Knight, at least by next year.
You just had to the last part, right?
What's that?
You just had to bring him into it, right? You just couldn't help yourself, Frank. You just can't let this LA Knight shit go. Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, you sat there and you cringed as I was saying his name, and I knew you were going to do that. But to me, he's a real draw. And if you look at his merch sales, that'll tell you everything that you need to know.
Right, before we close the show, there's always going to be a fantasy match when it's me and Frank on there. So I picked this one this time, and it's the Macho Man from 1988 versus Shawn Michaels 1996 when he beat Bret Hart in the Iron Man match in a ladder match for the WWF title. Frank, what do you think of this match and how does it go?
Well, I don't remember Macho Man ever being in a ladder match. Has he ever been in a ladder match?
No, but he was in a steel cage match, no? Or am I wrong?
Wait, but
Am I wrong about that?
I'm not too sure. But these two, I could definitely see the promos being really good. I could see the match being really good. The way that I would book this, though, I'm not really sure how I would book this one. I think that the promos would build the whole thing by itself. Uh, Man, and you're talking a heel. You're talking about a heel Macho Man.
Yeah.
So Macho Man would be the bad guy, and Shawn Michaels, '96. He was a good guy in '96, right?
No,
So he
wait,
would be.
he was kind of the heel because Brett was the face.
Yeah, but him winning the championship, I thought he. I don't know. I'm really not sure. But in this
Well, we don't
scenario,
need a heel. They could both be loved by the crowd, and we don't like. It's like Cody and Punk. No one's the heel, so it
yeah,
could be they're both loved.
yeah. So I would say if I have gun to the head, who would win the match? That's a very tough choice. But I would probably have HBK go over. I would have Shawn Michaels win the match. As much as that kind of pains me to say, but it would pain me to say that Macho Man beats Shawn Michaels at the same time and probably the same amount. They're pretty even to me, but I got to give the edge to HBK. Greatest in-ring performer probably of all time. Ric
Yeah.
Flair will tell you that. Just about anyone will tell you that. And especially in a ladder match, that's an HBK specialty. All his ladder matches were great, and it's not really something that I see Macho Man being able to be on the level that Shawn Michaels is on. But at the same time, if you want to talk about WrestleMania 3, he had a great, one of the most memorable, probably the most memorable match on that card as far as in ring. Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat. He really proved that he can roll with the best of them. Macho Man was one of the best anyway.
Yeah.
In the ring, on the mic. So he would definitely have. They would definitely have a great match together.
Can you imagine the amount of elbow drops off the ladder, off the top rope on the announce table? Crazy,
What?
bro. And then obviously the moonsault from HBK. It'll be incredible.
I didn't even think about the elbow drop thing. Just like in the last episode with Steve Austin against Randy Orton, I didn't think about, and I thought about it before, but I forgot to even talk about it. But the stunner and the RKO, stunner versus RKO. But drawing the comparisons with their move set there, yeah, imagine the spots that you get with them with elbow drops off the top of the ladder and all that. That would be cool. Unfortunately, we'll never see that, especially them in their primes. But that's what these fantasy matches are about. They're just fantasy. But I have that. I give the edge to HBK.
Me too, 100%. And it'll be a WrestleMania. Macho will be the champion. And he takes the title of Macho Man. And I think that year I would make HBK win the Royal Rumble and go face Macho Man in a ladder match.
Okay. Yeah, especially if it's '96, he did win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you're just basically replacing Bret Hart with Macho Man, and instead of an Iron Man match, it's a ladder match.
Yeah.
To me, that Iron Man match, I don't know, I don't want to say it, but I kind of have to say it was kind of boring.
It was. That's why I want to replace it.
Listen, great, two legends, two of the greatest to ever do it. It was the right choice for the time. an hour-long match, I understand that they have to pace themselves, and I understand that you don't want to blow yourself up right away, but it felt boring because I really didn't start consistently watching WWE until 1999. So, and I always knew about it. My across the street neighbor Sal was obsessed with it, and we would just I would basically be at his house watching it, and I knew about it, but I wasn't so focused on keeping up with it, if that makes any sense. So at that time, you know, but I knew about all these guys. Um, yeah, it was just so I went back and rewatched it. I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be. That's my whole point.
No, I agree. I agree. So
maybe if I watched it as a kid in the moment, I would have liked it and been more into it.
Yeah,
it just kind of felt a little boring to me.
I agree. So we're both HBK, right?
Yeah, I want HBK.
Amazing. You want to add anything else before we end this show, Frank?
Yeah, no. Overall, I was very happy with that Royal Rumble. I'll tell you, I really have no complaints other than the McAfee thing, wasting a spot, and Braun Breaker eliminating Jimmy Uso instead of Jey Uso eliminating Jimmy. But those are such minor. No casual fan just watching it is going to care about that. But us kind of fans that, us smart fans, we're the ones that are going to care about that kind of detail. But it just shocked me, not shocked me, but it just kind of took me by surprise that they're so detail oriented, and then you kind of drop the ball with a detail like that. Why wouldn't you have, especially they're obviously going to be facing each other at WrestleMania? It just would have added to it. But I guess them being number one and number two, and Jay outlasting Jimmy Uso, they could come back to that too, because Jay was the Iron Man, and so they could have Jay have that as a bragging rights for later on.
I agree. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Reckless Wrestling episodes. I'm sure Frank is going to do a solo show sometime in the week to reflect on Raw and see what happens after Raw. Like, it'll be very interesting tomorrow night to see what actually happens. Apart from Cody probably saying I want Roman, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with Punk and everyone else.
Yeah, I second that, man. It's really getting interesting. We're entering into the most interesting time of the year, of course. They've been doing a really good job at keeping our attention, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone that watched today, and I look forward to continuing this. And let's just sometimes we get a little bit too caught up in everything, but I feel that we're at a point where we can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. But I feel that I have confidence, I have faith in Triple H, so that's all we need.
Brilliant. You heard it here first, guys. Believe in H. See you soon, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.
Deuces.